Hey guys, Eric with Stochastic back with another marketing strategy video. And I've had the privilege to visit with lots of contractors over my tenure here, but specifically in the last year as things have started to open up again, even some in person. And one of the things that have come up a lot is, what do I do about my call takers? What can we do to improve our call taking? And it's funny because, whether digitally or in person, when I'm meeting with these people, I've had the opportunity to meet with owners, to meet with CSRs, to look at phone scripts and get them from people, whether physically or digitally, and take a look at them. And there is a problem here that we're all not seeing. And that is the big thing I'm seeing, is that our phone scripts have gotten way too complicated. We're trying to ask too many things. We're running our customers through. And in fact, when you look for some companies online at the reviews, you'll see they use one term. It was an interrogation, or there were too many questions. And so today's video, I want to start to kind of strive to have you stop interrogating your customers. I mean, some of these call scripts I have are 15, 20, 25 questions. I got one that's 32 questions long. What 32 questions do you need to ask the customer? A questionnaire that's 15 questions long that I have in front of me, I read it out loud and I timed it. It took me more than 5 minutes just to read all the questions. 5 full minutes to read all of the questions on the sheet. The average time to book a call in our industry is about 3.5 minutes, meaning it's impossible for the call takers at that location to read through their script in the time it would take to book the call. What does that mean? Well, if you listen to the phone calls, and we've got hundreds of thousands of them, I've listened to lots, it means that people aren't following the script. They're not following it to the letter. What they're doing is jamming together a bunch of questions. And honestly, that's slightly better than if they actually read the list. When you find you're listening to a new call taker who's simply going through the list of questions they've been given, it sounds like a brutal televised police interrogation of a witness in a high priority case. I mean, they are basically just shy of slamming their hands on the table and waiting for the good cop to come in the room. It's really rough, and it shows no empathy. Slightly better are the people who've been there years and go, some of these questions just aren't all that relevant. I'll just get through the stuff that I know people are listening to hear if I'm saying. But those still sound like a police interrogation. It sounds like the person who called you and said, I have a problem and I'd like to know if you could come fix it. And then you start slamming your hand on the table and demanding information from them. No empathy on these phone calls. In fact, when we run the analysis on the calls, empathy scores one of the lowest for our industry. There's almost no empathy on the calls. Almost never do you hear, when you listen to calls, my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that. Or, oh my, that's quite the problem. Let me get someone out there to help you. Almost never does that occur. What usually occurs is we go right into asking for an address, or worse, before they even get the problem out of their mouth. We tell them the name of the company they're calling, we ask them for their address right away because it's valuable to us. And that's the thing. These interrogations are a bunch of questions that are valuable to us as the contractor, but they're not valuable to the customer. The customer has a problem. What's valuable to them is you tell them, I understand you're having a problem and I hate to hear that it's happening. I have the right people to come fix that for you, and here's the date and time we can get that fix done for you. That's what's valuable to the customer. And so when we go 10, 15, 20 questions in and we show no empathy and we're pounding our hands on the table asking for their address and the age of their system, how many of you know the age of the motor in your lawnmower? How many of you know the age of the bicycle you have in the garage? Because these are things we usually buy more often than we buy air conditioning and heating units. Most people don't know, and when you listen to the calls, that becomes very evident. The only people who know are the people who just bought a system. And that's great, and that's a valuable piece of information that you can weave into a conversation. But most of the calls you listen to, you won't hear a conversation. You'll hear that interrogation. You won't hear, my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that's happening. We have qualified technicians that can take care of that problem. In order to find the best appointment time for you, and when I could get someone out to your house, I just need to get a little information. Could you please give me your address? And by the way, do you happen to know the age of the system in your home? And if not, roughly what's the age of the house? Which, by the way, you don't even have to ask, because if they don't know the age of the system, you can just look it up in county records. You can look it up in state records. There's all different places you can go and find the property information to find the age of the home if the customer doesn't know the age of the unit. You can throw it in as an aside, because all you're trying to do with that question is determine the value of the call. And I understand that. It's an important piece, but it takes about 1 second. It doesn't take 5 or 6 questions. And whether or not the person has dogs or cats, and if they'll be locked up, and if both parties will be there when the person comes out, all of those are fine questions for after I've booked the call. But I need to book the call first. Why do I say that? Well, because when we run the metrics, the number one thing you can do to improve call booking is simply ask for the order, and almost no one does it. So call booking should really be a very simple process, as should call scripts. It should really come down to 3 things. Show empathy for the problem the person has. Let them know you care, because that makes them a person and you a person to them. And we're always more happy to work with somebody who shows that they cared for us. Determine the value, if you can. If the person knows the age of the system, fantastic. If it's a 3-year-old system, probably we don't have a call for another 6 weeks. If it's a 7-year-old system, I may have some opportunities today. It's a 15-year-old system. How does this afternoon sound? I've got somebody who can be there right now. And then book the appointment. Give them a time and ask for the order. It will improve your call booking. It will improve the response from your customers. And it actually puts your salesman in a better position, because the customer doesn't feel interrogated and sold over the phone. After you've booked the appointment, after you've locked the person down on a time, then you can walk through all of those other things. But move booking that appointment up in the conversation and look really hard at the questions you're asking your customer, and ask how many you could move to the call you make before you head out. When you call to let them know someone's on the way to their house, you can ask if their animals will be put up. You can ask if there's a specific door we need to knock on. You can ask if there's a place that they'd like the guy to park. All of those questions can be handled when the technician is on the way to the home. They don't need to be broached during the conversation where we book the call. So guys, that's my 2 cents on that. If you'd like, I'd be happy to take a look at how your call takers are doing. And the best way for you to get that information from me is to pick up the phone and give me a call. My phone number's on the screen, and I will be happy to take a look at how your call takers are doing and how your company's performing. Other than that, I really appreciate you joining me for another one of these videos, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.